Welcome back to Boyd Avenue SWAT. My name is Lindsay and I am the 3-year-old teacher here on Wednesday nights. Hope that everyone is doing great and has been enjoying the beautiful weather we've had outside. And hopefully we can all meet together again sometime soon. So over the past couple weeks we have discussed a lot of different Bible stories. So earlier in the year we talked about Moses and Pharaoh and how Pharaoh wouldn't let the people go. We've also talked about Rahab and how Rahab helped the spies. And then last week Miss Beth delivered us a message about a man named Gideon. And Gideon used with his people, and he had an army of 300 people. They defeated the Midianites. So we've obviously covered a lot of stuff this semester. That's like brushing on what we've touched. And so there have been a lot of important people that have helped us to get to where we are now. Before I get into the story, I have a question that I want to ask. How many of you love puzzles and riddles? I love puzzles and riddles. When I was younger, I would always make my parents and my siblings come up with as many riddles as they could, and I'd have them tell them to me, and I'd try to solve them. And one of the first riddles I remember my brother telling me was, what must be broken before you can use it? I'll let you guys think about that for a second. I could not solve this riddle. It was one of the first riddles I was told, and it took me, I think, like 2 months to figure out what the riddle was. And once I figured it out, I was so mad because I felt like it was so simple, but I could not figure it out by myself. So, while I was saying that, if you haven't already figured it out, I'm going to give you a hint real quick. So, it is something that you would likely eat for breakfast. Okay, I'm going to tell you the answer. The answer is an egg. An egg must be broken before it can be used. So that's just one example of a riddle, but I have always loved riddles, and I think that riddles are pretty fun. And today we're going to learn about a man named Samson who told a riddle that ended up causing some big problems. The story of Samson can also be found in the book of Judges, like we've looked at the last couple weeks. It's found in chapters 13 through 16 if you want to go read that later by yourself. So, like I said earlier, last week Beth gave us the message about Gideon, and after Gideon died, that's where we come to today. So when Gideon died, the people began to start worshiping these false gods again. This is the golden calf that we talked about the week that Moses went up to Mount Sinai and the people thought he was gone. And so they started worshiping this. So just like in that situation, the people lost some faith after Gideon died, and they started worshiping some other false gods like this golden calf. And so during this time, for 40 years, the Philistines take over the Israelites, and the Philistines are worshiping these false gods. So one day an angel appears to a man and his wife, and the angel says to them, you will have a son, and his name will be Samson, and he will rescue the Israelites from the Philistines. But they warned them not to cut his hair, or he would lose his strength. So God blessed Samson, and Samson grew up to be really strong. I always like to do in my class whenever I talk about being strong. I make all of the 3-year-olds show me their strong muscles, because we're all strong, but we're probably not as strong as Samson was, or God is. So as Samson grew older, he met a Philistine woman, and he wanted to marry her. So one day, Samson and his dad were traveling to go meet the woman, and they got attacked by a lion. So the lion came out, and Samson defeated the lion and killed him with his own bare hands. And then they went to meet the woman. So then on their way back, Samson saw the lion and found that bees had actually been making honey inside the lion. So Samson went and ate the honey from the lion that he had killed earlier. So then Samson went on to marry this woman. And at their wedding ceremony, Samson told all of the Philistine people a riddle. And he gave them 7 days to solve this riddle. So this is the riddle. He said, out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. So Samson told the people this riddle, and after 3 days they still had not solved the riddle. So the Philistine people went to Samson's new wife, and they told her that if she did not figure out what the answer to the riddle was, that they were going to burn her and her father's house down. So she went and asked Samson and begged Samson to tell her, but Samson wouldn't tell her. And then she asked him again, and he still wouldn't tell her. So finally, on the 7th day, after much and much pleading, Samson told his wife what the answer to the riddle was. So then his wife went and told the Philistine people, and they went in return and told the riddle to Samson on the last day that they had, the 7th day. So they told Samson the answer to the riddle, which was the lion and the honey. So this made Samson very mad, especially at his wife, because she betrayed him. He told her the answer, trusting her, and she went and told the people, who then solved the riddle. So Samson left his wife, and he went away. And during this time, because they didn't think that he was going to come back because Samson was so angry, his wife ended up marrying another man. So then Samson came back and was going to apologize and wanted his wife back, and he came back to find that his wife was now married to another man. And this made Samson so angry. Has anyone ever felt like they've been betrayed or something's happened to them and they have been so angry that they just don't know what to do with themselves? Well, this is how Samson was. Samson was really angry, and so what he did to get back at them was he burned their crops down. And this made the people angry. I think that this would make me feel angry. All of the crops that they were growing were part of their food source and how they made money and what they would eat. And so if I had someone burn my food down, I would be very angry. And this is how the people felt. They were really angry, and this made them want to kill Samson. So then Samson went away because his wife was already married to someone, and he just burned their crops down. So he went away, and he met another woman, and her name was Delilah. And one day, Delilah was approached by some Philistine people, and they bribed her, and they asked her, will you figure out what gives Samson his strength? Because they wanted to kill him, and they didn't like him, but they couldn't do that because he was so strong. So Delilah went and asked Samson what gave him his strength. And at first, he told her a lie. And that night, the lie he told her was that if he was bound by new ropes, that he would lose his strength. So Delilah tried that night, and then she yelled, Samson, the Philistines are coming. And he woke up, and he was able to break out of the ropes. So Samson actually ended up telling Delilah 3 different lies. And each time she'd try them, and it wouldn't work. He would still have his strength. So finally, after much begging and pleading, Delilah asked Samson to tell her what it was. And she said that if you love me, you will tell me what it is that gives you your strength. So finally, Samson tells her what it is. He says if his hair is cut, that he will lose his strength. That's why he never cut his hair, because that's, if you remember to the beginning of the story, that is what the angel told his parents, was that never cut his hair. So Samson had never cut his hair. So finally, Delilah is told this, and she goes and tells the people. And one night, she gets Samson's hair cut, like in this picture. So she has Samson's hair cut, right there. And then she yells the same thing again. She says, Samson, the Philistines are coming. And they come up, but this time, he lost his strength because he cut his hair. So he is no longer strong like he was. So the Philistines are able to take him. And they blind him and they take him to jail. But as he was in jail, his hair started to grow back. It wasn't as long as it was when it got cut, but it slowly started to grow back. And then one day, Samson is taken to the Philistine people. And the Philistine, or into the Philistine temple with the Philistine people. And he's put between two columns. And Samson's standing there and he says, Lord, please strengthen me just once more. And the Lord gives him strength. And so he stands there in between these two pillars and he begins to push them. And the temple starts to crumble down. And it falls on all of the people that were in the temple and Samson. And it kills them. So at the beginning of this, I asked you to think about, what does God use Samson for to bring glory to him? So Samson he was very prideful. He had a bad temper. He even disobeyed God. But despite all of this, God was still able to use Samson, and Samson still gave his life so that he could defeat the Philistines and the Israelites could go free. So Samson's story can remind us that only God is able to save us from our biggest enemy. And Samson was strong, and we may think that we are strong, but God is always going to be stronger. So, to finish off today, just remember that we get our strength from God, and that even when we sin and even when we have a bad temper and we get angry or we disobey God, that as long as we repent from those sins and we ask for forgiveness, that God is still always there for us, even when we are sinners. So I have a couple more riddles about some Bible characters for you to think about throughout the week, and let's see if you can get them. I bet you if you don't know the answers and if you can't figure them out, that your parents can probably help you out with these. So my first one is, I built an ark to save my family and animals from the flood. Who do you think that one is? Okay, my next one is, I was the first woman to judge or lead Israel. We just learned about this one a couple weeks ago, so I think you guys should know that one. Let's see, I'll give you one more. This one is from the story today. I persuaded Samson to tell me the secret of his strength. Okay, so there's 3 riddles for you guys to think about and work on throughout the week. I don't think they're super hard for maybe older kids, but they might pose a challenge for some of the younger ones. So think about those throughout the week. And again, just remember that we get our strength from God. And I hope that I can see all of you here soon and that we can go back to church and back to SWAT. But in the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye, guys. See you next week.